Now, if you're watching this video, you probably already know what these are. They're going to be installed in my Mk3 Mondeo, as the old ones have disappeared completely. Now, I see online quite a few complaints about holes in the firewall opening up, so to say. So hopefully this will be helpful to somebody out there. So this is the problem. If you look here, connected to the brake pedal arm is the brake push rod, which is the linkage that gets pushed through when you apply the brake pedal. And you can see the big hole that goes through. That's supposed to have a boot sealing it up. And if you go around and look at the firewall from the engine bay side, on a right-hand drive car you see this. The lateral bar at the front there is connected to the brake master cylinder and it gets turned by the push rod. On a left-hand drive car the connection is direct, but there's still a push rod. And yeah, here is the hole again. That's supposed to be sealed. So this creates a few problems. The major one is noise, as you have a big gap to hear the engine through. And the other, of course, is that you get a bit of unfiltered air coming straight into the cabin. So these seals are available from Ford. Try your favorite supplier. I don't think you'll find them on Amazon or eBay or the like. I'll give the part numbers below the video. Anyway, as you can see, there are two parts. One is the boot itself, which has a sort of concertina design, obviously intended to allow the inner part to slide along with the push rod, while the outer part is fitted against the firewall. And the other is this rubbery thing called by Ford a seal, and it sort of envelops the boot like so. So they both sort of work together. Now I'll just show you this diagram of parts here quickly, just to give you a better idea of how these things are going together, as I found working out how these rubber boots fit to be a little bit confusing if you're just looking at the assembly in the car and with a hole where the old ones used to be. So number 5 here is the lateral linkage from the brake cylinder, again only on right-hand drive cars, and you can see the push rod at right angles to it. And then numbers 10 and 20 are the boot and the seal. They're not to scale on this graphic, but you get the idea. And you may want to refer to this just for orientation. What's not shown on this diagram is the brake pedal, although part 12 there is something that we will have to remove. So the only way that you can install these is to take out of the car the entire brake and accelerator pedal assembly. You need to fully disconnect the brake arm from the push rod in order to get the seals in place. And because that's a job that you may want to do for a dozen other reasons, I'm going to put it in a separate video. And this will be one of 3 videos actually. The third will be about the brake pedal position switch, and I'll link to both of those below. So yeah, getting that assembly out of the car is the first step here, and I'm going to skip that and go on to actually fitting the boots. So with the assembly, with the pedals out of the way, you will be faced with a fairly simple picture of the push rod dangling loosely in the firewall. Now you may have the remnants of the old boots to clean up. In my case, the entire area and the rod itself was covered in some rubbery, gooey stuff that I think must have been used as a hack fix by somebody years ago. Maybe when the original boot failed, they just decided to stop up the hole with goop. So yeah, this made a real mess. Anyway, once it's clean and ready, the boot itself just slides over the rod, like so. And the orientation is kind of obvious when you're doing it, but check the diagram I showed earlier to be sure, if you like. The boot has a lip which will sit around the firewall sheet metal to keep it home. So you need to push that lip through the hole and then work around its perimeter to make sure that the inside lip is on the right side, if you see what I mean. So once it's done, it'll look something like this. And if you look from the engine bay side, you'll see that it's looking good. Again, just check visually around that edge to make sure that it's not squished in a weird way. Okay, next the seal. And I decided to use some glue to bond it better to the firewall insulation. Now this is not necessary, and it is held very securely in place by the pedal assembly. But at the stage I was doing it, I figured this would help with sealing it up a bit. And the other thing I did was layer the inside surface of the seal with silicone grease, because the concertina of the boot will have to move against it. And this isn't specified by Ford to my knowledge, but I figured that where there's movement, there has to be friction, and these rubber bits obviously fail after a certain amount of time and use, so hopefully reducing this kind of wear should help extend its life a little bit. Then you just take that seal and slide it over the rod again, and it will completely cover the boot like so. And again, you need to get the orientation correct. The hole for the rod will kind of make it obvious. Don't try to force it if it's wrong. And you can see I'm pushing the mating surfaces against the firewall to get the glue to bond. Again, this was probably not necessary. And then the pedal assembly goes back in on top of all that. Remember, that's in my separate video, so I'm not showing it here. And what you'll find is that the seal gets compressed against the firewall by the brake pedal bracket in a very secure way. You can see it there, how it's enclosed by that metal surround. And obviously try the brake pedal, watch it on both sides, get somebody to help, or use a camera so you can see the engine bay side. Just make sure that everything looks like it's moving how it should. And we're good. Alright, see you later.